All right, Corinne, listening to that, I was struck by how much Linkin Park and Chester Bennington's vocals represent everything about TRL in the like late 90s, early 2000s, because it was weird that they were alongside NSYNC and, you know, also Limp Bizkit, because they sort of straddle the two, I would say, in some ways. So I don't know, that was listening to that track. That's the thing that was rolling through my head. I'm curious to know what was rolling through your head and what exactly makes this the standout, the one that you felt the need to share with our listeners.
Yeah, what a great question. I told you I struggled with this.
Oh yeah.
But again, like I didn't want to pick a single because I think like if I'm being completely honest, like if a first time listener were to listen to this album, like, and that never listened to Linkin Park before, I think In the End would be the standout track, because In the End is so good. Like the way that it starts is so fucking good, but like it no longer stands out for me. Like if I listen to that album now, I probably skip In the End, because like that's everybody's karaoke song. That's like every fucking body knows that song, and it's like you hear it all the time. I don't know, it doesn't do it for me anymore. Whereas like I don't know, Runaway, lyrically it's just really, really good. And I think it showcases Chester's voice in a really great way. Like it unlike the other songs, he's like, I would say Crawling, he's like really, he starts off like singing like kind of softly, like you see like the sort of softer side of his voice like in Crawling and this song, but then you also get like the like the screamo in there, and like I don't know, I think this song builds in a very nice way, and I think it showcases all of the reasons why Linkin Park is a great band, and that is my book report on Linkin Park's song Runaway.
I'll give you 300,000 points for Runaway. Well, it's cool because it's also like it's a universal theme, running away. Like it's almost a cliche, right? That they are they're transmuting into something so honest and in a way that is so of its time. And I really like this point that you're making about In the End, because I do think, would you say that Hybrid Theory having a song that is so ubiquitous now that it transcends like the album itself, does that contribute to the case for this album's perfection?
I think so. And I also think like, I think there's so many things that contribute to the album's perfection. But I think like, yeah, the way that In the End sort of like introduced them to people who would have never listened to Linkin Park. Yeah. And I think that has a lot to do, like In the End doesn't feature that much Chester. It's a mostly Mike Shinoda song. Like people who listen to hip hop were like, oh shit, this half Asian, half white man can fucking, he got bars, you know? I think like that, I think that song was like the perfect song to like take them to the next level. Yeah. But I don't, there's so many good songs on this, and it's like, I think my favorite songs are the ones that primarily feature Chester. I love the ones that have more of a balance, but like I said, like Chester's voice for me that's the golden ticket.
They were just so ubiquitous. I mean, like I know you also referenced Crawling. I mean, I will say like this came out while I was still in college, and like my group of friends, we weren't big fans of this. I will say that I grew to love this, especially this is a fantastic gym album, I will say. It was just so ubiquitous. Do you remember at all on MTV the cartoon Daria?
Yes. I loved it. I owned it on DVD. The entire series.
One of my friends she would sing the refrain to Crawling in the voice of one of Quinn Morgendorfer's friends. I don't know, like maybe it was one of the Stacys. I can't remember. So,
yeah.
No, one of the ones she just sort of be like, crawling in my skin. Like she would just randomly sing that. Yeah. And I'd be like, you don't even like that song. She's like, I know, but it just felt right to sing. It's just because they were everywhere. They were everywhere at the time period. Like like you said, in the end, and in the end, it wasn't even their first single off the album. Like, and it's also kind of buried in the album too.
It is. It's pretty far down there. Yeah.
I know. I wanted to bring Daria. I felt like I needed to bring Daria into this somehow.
Crawling in my skin, these wounds, they will not heal, is to me the thesis statement of emo. I think that's like the tagline, isn't it? For an entire genre.
Yeah, I think it's trademarked by emo corporate.
Was it like was Linkin Park a gateway drug for you into other metal or heavy music, or do you feel like that was already a part of your palette?
It definitely wasn't a part of my palette. I don't think I took like a deep dive. Like I appreciated single like Chop Suey, System of a Down, like it that is just, but I think that is more just because like it is a very popular song that is, very a masterpiece in its own right. I don't think that Linkin Park was a gateway drug necessarily. But I do think that it made me appreciate more music and more types of music for like what it was, what those songs were trying to be. And actually, I didn't buy this album for myself. A friend of mine bought it for me. This is so nuts. What a nuts thing. So I was in 9th grade and I had a very big crush on a senior. And I went to a very small private Christian school. Like my graduating class was 30 people.
Nice. Whoa.
And it was very tiny. Is my education real? I don't think so. But
wow.
He would like flirt with me a lot. And of course I was into it. I was like, hell yeah. 1, I'm horny. 2, I like you. And for my birthday, he bought me Hybrid Theory, Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, and the Eminem Show. And then yes.
Presumptuous much? Jeez.
Honestly, like the Eminem Show, Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, great album, not my favorite Blink-182 album, but the Eminem Show and Hybrid Theory, I can sing or rap every single song word for word from each of those albums. Like I had a 5-album CD changer and I would play PlayStation and GameCube, and those two were in there. Eventually Get Lifted by John Legend was in there.
Hell yeah. Good album.
Christina Aguilera Stripped, and I want to say NSYNC Celebrity. So that was that was my palette.
For him. That's heavy. That's heavy aughts right there. That is deep. Yeah. That gives me the chills.
Yes. Yeah. That's who I was. That's who I was, playing twisted metal on fucking PlayStation.
Okay, I'm gonna give you 3 million points for the soundtrack to your gaming sessions.
That's so many points.
Okay, I think it's a good transition though, because we can talk now about, we asked you to nominate for us albums that are perfect, quote unquote, and the pursuit of perfection is folly at best. But we're interested to see what that means to you, and so when you nominated these 4 albums for us, walk us through a little bit of what your thought process was in terms of the standards that you had for perfection for those albums.
Yeah. I think the first one is like no skips at all. Anytime you listen, it's not a dang skip. And you listen to it, when you choose to listen to it, you start from the beginning. And you want to hear it in its complete piece. Like you want to hear it how the artists intended you to hear it. Because I mentioned it before, John Legend's Get Lifted, it's a story. Not many people know that, but like it is a story that he is telling of a relationship disintegrating and then coming back to life. And you get to get that full story, you have to listen from the very beginning. Yeah, I think that is a criteria where you're like, I have to start from the beginning. I can't just hop around.
From the top
to the bottom to top, I stop, which is a Linkin Park lyric.
Yes.
What else is criteria for me, it's like what it meant to me when it came out, who I was and how it affected me at that time. And then also it just has to fucking slap, you know? It's got to slap.
Gotta slap.
It's got to slap.
Solid standards. We've been doing this a little bit. Where we give people a peek at what else you nominated. Do you want to share with the listeners? Was this the one you hoped we would choose, or was there another one you were hoping we would choose? Okay.
No, this is the one I was hoping you would choose because I love talking about this album so much because also people don't expect me to like it. People don't expect me to like it as much as I do, especially. And I'll be honest with you, I don't remember what else I told you. I'm sure Get Lifted must have been in there.
I think Get Lifted was on the list. Yeah.
Yeah.
When we had talked in the bar, you had mentioned Michael Jackson, and I don't know if you actually ended up. Oh, I got it right here. Okay. Now I remember. Yeah, okay. I'm glad you don't remember because now I get to say you put the soundtrack to the Pokemon first movie on there.
Yes, I could also talk about how great that is. Yeah. Yeah, the Pokemon first movie soundtrack, it slaps.
And Stripped was the other one that you did, the Christina Aguilera, which you already mentioned, which we have not talked about Christina yet. I feel like we've been a little remiss not to talk about Christina on this pod as of yet. Don't you agree, Michael?
We haven't even really talked too much about Britney, frankly. I mean, the closest we came this season would be, Maroon 5 talking about Adam Levine and The Voice. Yeah. But we haven't had Christina. Well, I mean, I think a lot of times, and I think we've said this before, a lot of times like pop acts, people tend to don't think of them as album artists, even though that's not true because I think a lot of pop acts have created like full albums that feel like big works as opposed to just singles. But
totally,
I don't know. If we keep talking about it, it maybe will. What's that called? The Secret. If we keep talking about it, it'll happen at some point.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, we can do that. Let's touch on the Pokemon first movie real quick. I just feel like that we've talked about a few soundtracks and. I just like how I feel like you structured this list like a joke. Like this is none of these are joke albums. I know that you are sincerely nominating all of them, but the composition of it is like a joke. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It makes perfect sense. I am a comedian. That is,
you are. You can't help it.
Yeah, I can't help it. And it's not a joke. I wore that soundtrack out. The Pokemon first movie, what an incredible film.
It is it's a film. Like it is a
film. And so some of the songs, like all of the songs it's a pop album. But it has a lot of deep cut tracks that like artists didn't release. Like Christina has a song on there. I can't remember the name of it, but it's beautiful.
We Are a Miracle is what it's called.
Yes, We Are a Miracle. Yes, that is a beautiful, stunning song, but it's not on any of her albums.
Crazy.
NSYNC has Someday Somewhere or something like that.
Somewhere
Someday. Another stunning song. And then we have like really like your deep cut pop acts like M2M, they have a song on there. And then there's the song that really like, I mean, I think track for track.
I know exactly what you're talking about, Corinne. I know exactly what you're going for.
I know. During the fight where you're watching Pikachu slap Pikachu, there's a song that's like, brother, my brother. And it is so heart-wrenching.
Yeah, and Pikachu cries. Pikachu cries. Yes. There are tears coming out of Pikachu's eyes.
Yeah. Oh, emotion. Emotion is happening. Yeah. It's beautiful. It's really beautiful. Yeah. While this epic Mewtwo and Mew fight is happening, and you get brother against brother, and it's really like beautiful. Anyway, I think the soundtrack is incorporated. I'm being so sincere.
I know, I am too.
Like like the way that some of the songs are incorporated into the actual movie, but then you can like hop out and listen to songs that aren't really in the movie. Britney Spears has her like bubblegum pop song But that's on Baby One More Time. So I was less impressed by that. And then the version of the Pokemon theme song that is on this soundtrack is fucking phenomenal. That man is singing his ass off. He is truly going for blood. Yeah, it's great. It's a really great soundtrack. People should listen to it if you haven't. And it'll really remind you of your childhood.
I'm going to give you 6 million extra points for the Pokemon soundtrack. I think it had to be mentioned. We'd be remiss not to mention it.
Thank you so much. I'm surprised I didn't put the Eminem show on there. Probably because people don't really like Eminem, and I don't want people to judge me for loving the Eminem show. But
we've talked about some albums like that. We really have. I wanted to ask: did you ever see Linkin Park live?
No,
never did.
Oh,
no.
Wow.
Yeah, I wasn't really like a concert kid. Again, I went to a private Christian school, very sheltered, not very sheltered. Like I was able to watch and listen to whatever I wanted. I just didn't go anywhere. So no, like all my friends were going to Warped Tour. I was like, what's that? What's that?
That sounds like a lot.
Yeah, it sounds dirty. No, thank you. But yeah, I never got to see them live. My first like big concert was NSYNC's Pop Odyssey tour. So
nice.
Yeah,
good one. That's a really good one.
It was perfect. Unfortunately, P. Diddy opened for them.
Yeah.
But also so did Busta Rhymes. Busta Rhymes was there. Weird.
Busta's still good in my book.
Busta's still good. Weird to think that those two were opening for NSYNC, you know? But,
that is... Yeah. What year was that?
That was 9th grade, so 2002. Yeah, it was like spring of 9th grade. Yeah, it was very right after 9/11. 2002.
What a time.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got this thing that we've been doing the past few weeks where, just as it's nice to have segments, right? It's nice to have consistent little features to the pod. And so we like to call this the Billy Crudup question. We're going to say, in a word or two, or in a sentence, what do you love most about music?
What I love most about music is how, I feel like this is so cliche, but how universal it is. Like no matter what language a song is in, you can feel it and understand it, even if you can't understand the lyrics. I think that is what I love the most, and I think it's what will ultimately save us all.
I would love that. I'm going to give you an additional 3 million points. 3 million points for it being universal. It's the universal language. Couldn't agree more.
Thank you.
The question is, Corinne, though, you did say earlier in our conversation that we're all going to die soon. So when I'm wondering, do you think that music will save us from that?
Oh man, in some timeline, in whether or not it's our timeline, I don't know. But,
okay. So we're introducing multiverses. Oh, okay. Yes. All right. Cool. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're all just a simulation. Come on,
It is a simulation. It's just some kid's just gonna reset, blow in a cartridge, and start over.
Hopefully, we'll get music again in the next save file.
We'll still be there.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a great opportunity for us to see how you did, Corinne. We really appreciate you joining us today. But you should know that this is about winning and losing. As good capitalists, as good tycoons, captains of industry, we must determine who wins and who loses. So we're going to recap the points that you received building your case for this album, and we're going to put it to Michael to make the final determination. Most recently, you got 3 million points for your answer to the Billy Crudup question. Well said.
Will that be enough?
It's going to save us all. Well, before that, you got 6 million points. I got distracted before I wrote the rest of it down, but I believe that was for the Pokemon movie soundtrack, Invocation. I think I gave you 6 million points for that. There were 3 million points that you got for the heavy aughts rotation of music that played while you were gaming as a young person. 300,000 points for Runaway having a little bit of everything that Linkin Park does well and being a very, very good example of their work here. 500,000 points for talking about how artists, they save us, but they can't save themselves sometimes. 50,000 points for the Butter Girlies, 100,000 points for the Box, that channel, and 60,000 points for having a voice that'll make people go, okay, yeah, that'll do. Yeah, nice. Good. You got 100,000 points for giving JC Chasez the validation of a lifetime outside of Oaks. God, we should all be so lucky. And then before that, I gave you 9,000 points just for JC Chasez in general. There were 6,000 points for that. 6,000 points before that. I can't remember what they were for, and I can't read my own handwriting right now. And then you gave Michael 5 Hail Marys as penance for the wonderful job that he did summarizing this band and this album. And I'll tell you what, dang, this is one hell of a board. It's looking good, but the opinion ultimately does not rest with me. The decision rests with Michael. Michael, tell us, has Corinne done a good enough job making the case for Linkin Park's hybrid theory? Is it a perfect album? Does it go to 11?
Please.
I mean, I appreciate the penance you gave me earlier. And I mean, as I alluded to beforehand, I listened to this album at the gym so many times. Like, this was, you won the minute you suggested it. Yes, it doesn't feel like for him.
Yay!
Yes.
So, Corinne, we asked you to choose a standout track, but what we may not have told you is that we also choose a standout track from the album so our listeners can hear something. Are you curious to hear what we chose?
Yeah.
We had to do it in the end. we just had to. I mean, it's like you said, it's so it's transcendently good. And it's one of those songs, it's like a pop song in the mold of something that I had never heard before at the time. Mm-hmm. You know, it's epic. It has sort of like the depth of feeling that you want from this band.
Yeah. And
also, I think you're right that it just represents such a good entry point to this band's body of work that we are, that we would be remiss not to choose this one. Yeah. Michael, what about you? How did you feel about it?
I mean, yeah, yes to all. And also, like, I rewatched the video. I mean, come on. It's like, it feels like they're in a video game. And then at the end, when the rain is, I mean, like, any video where, like, a band is, like, rocking the fuck out and they're getting drenched in rain. Like, it's it's so stereotypical. And yet, I'm like, yes, as it's happening.
Yeah.
Like, I just want it. It's so transcendent. I think is the best word for it.
You guys, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. For a moment, I was like, oh, maybe they'll choose One Step Closer. Because I almost chose One Step Closer, too.
That was our second choice.
Yeah, my second choice. That's my second choice. That's also my karaoke song.
Oh,
perfect karaoke song. And I want to shout out the riff in One Step Closer, because that One Step Closer riff is very sort of emblematic of the genre as well, that they carved out. It's just like, it gets you right in the lower part of your gut. You're like, oh, it's so heavy.
Anytime you have a track where someone is screaming, shut up when I'm talking to you.
Oh yeah. Shut up.
I also appreciated really rediscovering this album, the song By Myself. I forgot how screamo this gets. Yes. He gets like screamo.
Yes. Like from the very beginning, and then it gets slow and moody, and then it goes back up. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, Corinne, it was great meeting you and great talking with you about this album that I never thought we'd get to talk about in the pods. You've given us a huge gift. So yeah, thanks for being on. Dear listeners, thanks so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you next week.